Welcome to my presentation on musical perception and interaction in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a 2020 Japanese role-playing game by Square Enix. It was directed by Tetsuya Nomura, produced by Yoshinori Kitase, and composed by Masahashi Hamauzu. Final Fantasy VII Remake, as the name suggests, is a remade version of the first portion of the 1997 game, Final Fantasy VII. Unlike many modern films and video games, Final Fantasy VII Remake opens with an opening credits cutscene listing the key creatives while moving around Midgar. Midgar is an 8-segmented circular city with an upper or plate district and a lower or slums district. This cutscene then leads directly into a remade version of the intro to the original game. This remake, however, does more than simply update the visuals like the remasters of other titles in the series. It has changed plot elements, updated music and visuals, and redesigned the combat system. The world of Final Fantasy VII is a uniquely musical one. This is one of the key reasons that fans love the original. From the moment that the player sees a train carrying our protagonists roll into station near Mako Reactor 1, the remake looks and sounds just like the rose-tinted dream of its fans. Yet, not long after, the game does something distinctly different from the original. Upon entering Mako Reactor 1, it is not music that meets the player's ears, but a mechanical silence, just the noise of heavy machinery and the voices of the characters.
Soldiers may attack on command, but I hear they make good guard dogs too. Bet you've seen a few reactors. So how do we get to the bridge above Mako storage?
This musical silence is quite unexpected and occurs regularly inside these reactors, whereas most other areas of the game have unique music. This silence is made use of to draw attention to characters for pieces of dialogue. Interestingly, however, while important dialogue begins silent, it then transitions into underscore, while less important dialogue goes without, leading to the conclusion that unimportant dialogue is just that. This silence, although still uncommon, brings a new kind of musical world to Midgar. This introduction of a new type of world music, the absence of music, brings me quite nicely onto the recontextualized use of Final Fantasy VII's music in the remake. The music of Final Fantasy VII Remake sits in a very unusual space in terms of scoring, as it ticks the boxes for all three types of score. One might suggest it was specifically composed score, as it is still Final Fantasy VII, but since it is a remake, it uses the music of the original Final Fantasy VII. A music which at this point is of such wide renown it could be considered popular music, so is it a popular compilation score? It does make use of popular music to convey meaning, but no. Therefore, the last option must be the right one. The game features new compositions around the melodies of the original. This then must be a combination score. Before moving on to gameplay, there is a screen the player must progress past. The title screen menus are a feature not unique to games. Much like many DVD home menus, it features a titles theme. Whenever you launch the game, you hear the same music, in this case the near constant of the Final Fantasy series, Prelude. This functions much like a TV theme tune. A simple running harp riff that is supported by different instruments in different games. While changing from game to game, so do many long-running TV show themes. The Doctor Who theme, as an example, changes voicings from series to series, yet it is always identifiable as from that franchise. This gives the game's title music a more direct interactive effect on the player, as it gets played over and over as the player loads the game, the same as a TV theme tune at the start of a show. Once beyond the title menu, the player is entering the game world. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, the music of each part of Midgar you visit can change due to plot stimulus, moving to a new part of that area, a side quest begins, or you take those side quests or in battle. Because of this change, we need to look for the one constant to link them all together. The one constant in every scenario, save for a couple related to the plot, is main protagonist Cloud Strife. This would suggest the music is Cloud's emotional response to events, meaning that through it, the player can gain a better understanding of Cloud. In Chapter 2, Cloud is separated from the group and must make his way to the train station while avoiding and engaging enemies. This is hampered by the destruction caused by the explosion of Macro-Reactor 1. While doing this, a pulsing music plays as Cloud fights his way through the streets. This area has an interesting musical nature, as the music that plays is both the world music and the battle theme.
There he is! We're not going anywhere!
HQ, this is Sector 8 Unit 4. We have eyes on the target. We need backup. I repeat, this is 8-4 requesting immediate.
Let's go.
All clear. You!
Get ready.
This differs from the original, which would cut to the battle screen for fights and then return. It's also different from much of the remix fights, which usually enters a distinct fight theme. This unification of the world's music states, through the pulsating guitar and then the strings, gives the fights a continuality that leads the player to understand how Cloud is viewing this whole escape as one extended fight, split up across the individual encounters, with a similar effect to sound lag and sound advance, concepts within film theory. The next instance of music that gives the player an understanding of Cloud through the world music is in Chapter 8. In Chapter 8, Cloud formally meets Aerith Gainsborough, after a brief encounter in Chapter 2. She's arguably the main love interest of the game.
Maybe you're not okay. Ah, he lives. Finally awake, are we?
You're...
Aerith. It's Aerith. And you are?
Cloud.
Nice to meet you again.
Again, huh?
What? You don't remember? What about the flowers?
Oh, the flower girl.
Upon seeing Aerith, like with other love interest Tifa, her theme begins immediately. While interrupted by the Turks, more on them later, they escape to the rooftops, and as soon as Cloud and Aerith are alone again, in relative safety, her theme resumes, although extended using adaptive music, a concept explained in the commentary.
That suit from earlier. He was one of Shinra's Turks. What's a Turk want with you?
Dunno. Hey, don't Turks keep an eye out for potential soldiers and stuff?
They do more than just scout for candidates. Turks get called in to handle all kinds of situations, with extreme prejudice.
Professional bad guys. Gotta love them.
Back to my question. So what's he to you? Looked like you knew each other.
This continues until they encounter more enemies. In this case, however, I would suggest Aerith's theme, perceived by the player, is a combined emotional world of Cloud and Aerith. This is reinforced by the fact that once they reach their destination, Aerith's house, and head out to complete some errands, her theme resumes as they romantically collect flowers to deliver to the local orphanage.
Which ones do you think we should pick?
Any of them.
Oh, don't be like that. I know you have an eye for this kind of thing.
This music only stops when Aerith leaves Cloud by heading into the orphanage.
I'll wait out here.
Oh, okay. But I might be a while. Why not check out the town?
This is a strong musical representation of the impact being left alone has had on Cloud. However, even after Aerith's return, her theme is no longer the prevalent theme when alone together, apart from during romantic moments later in the game.